I'm hitting record. All of these videos start with me going to Humble Bundle and giving away a game. Dup, dup, dup. Oh, the new Humble Bundle for next month is out. Tropico 6, don't care. Fae Tactics, don't care. Sunless Bundle, excited. Iron Danger, no idea. Autonauts, no idea. Shadows Awakening, no idea. Fantasy Blacksmith, that seems interesting. The Suicide of Rachel Foster, should be some like scary adventure game. Goat of Duty, well, that's 10 minutes of fun, I'm sure. Uncertain, The Last Quiet Day, don't know. The Basement, and Light Matter. There are lots of games being published every day that I have no idea what they are. Okay, let's go to June of 2020. I have two choices remaining. Okay, Raul, you have a choice of, really, that's I don't know, looks like grimdark fantasy or racing. And grimdark, okay. Send me privately an email address that I can send you a game to. No guarantee that these are actual descriptors of the actual game. They're just what I get from the picture. So there you go. Oh, looks like a platformer now that I'm looking at the video. So there you go. Gift to friend. Send an email. Control V. Send email. It is a game called Remnants of Nazith. And it looks like some kind of wacky platformer. Well, maybe a Metroidvania? I don't know. It seems like you have a grappling hook. There's lots of grappling hook action. Kind of Super Meat Boy-ish. Anyway, congratulations. You are now the proud owner of Remnants of Nazith. Oh, let's let everybody in the waiting room, from the waiting room, and turn off the waiting room. Sorry about the waiting room. I mean to turn the waiting room off quickly every time, but I forget. Enable waiting room. Okay, I disabled the waiting room. Okay, so what's coming up? Business. We've got tutorial, the final tutorial due tomorrow. We've got quiz due today, tonight at midnight, and Tuesday is gray box. So that's exciting. And remember, let me just double check. Gray box. Let's see, courses. Oh, I've been signed out of Canvas. And now my phone is not here. Great. Because, of course, I'll be right back. Got to get my phone. Hello, doggo. Want to come be on in class? Come on. Come here. Come here, Miss Puppets. Okay. Okay. First, let's see. First, we're going to do the messages. And then we're going to have a visit with Suki. Okay. There we go. Don't go anywhere. You got to be part of this. 5 to 8. 7, 8, 6. Okay. So just double checking assignments. Gray box. What am I expecting you to hand in? Present the gray box level version of your level in a video. Okay, so just like your tutorials. Okay. Just being clear about everything. This is Suki. We have a visit from Suki today. Hello, Suki. Suki is coughing today. Her trachea is collapsed, so she gets the coughs. Because I was a bad dog owner, and we put her on a collar instead of a harness when she was young, and she would throw herself at people and things. Yeah, pups. Gotta be able to be seen. Hello, Sook. She doesn't like this. She would much rather be curled up in her chair somewhere. She is generally right outside that doorway behind me in her little dog bed guarding the door. That's where she lives now that I sit in here and teach all day. So Suki would like to leave. Unless I have a nectarine. She likes to share a nectarine with me. She likes nectarines and apples. And it's apple season. We got to get some apples. Boy, that would be a good hour of class, is just me feeding Suki an apple while you all watched. I think that would be the best class ever. She does like her apples. So maybe as a special, hey, the week that I have a community building thing on the Discord, I'll just feed my dog an apple on Twitch, and I will be the most popular professor by far. Wholesome content too. Okay, so videos due Tuesday. And John will have office hours tomorrow as usual, so that you guys can all figure out particle systems. Looks like Nick did some work this past yesterday.
I'm still having trouble with that dang thing. It's so weird. Like it collides with the terrain, but it goes through any other static mesh.
Huh. And and you're setting it, the static meshes are set to do particle collision, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all set to block all.
Oh. The only thing I could say is, instead of block all, take off block all and go through and individually set particle collision and see if that changes it.
Okay, I'll give that a shot.
Because the gang at Epic is not foolproof. Oh, Suki likes strawberry tops too. Suki likes fruit in general, although bananas, um, she chews them up and gets them all mushy and then spits them out on the ground, um, which makes for, if you're not watching, makes for a wonderful prize when you step in it. Okay, so anything else come and do? No. Hopefully you've all got source control worked out through Git, so that you can work with each other. I want to talk about, so I want to come back to the idea. See, the problem is you get blessed with Suki, but then you have to stare at my ugly mug for the rest of the class instead of a wolf. So these are the trade-offs. I want to talk about, come back to storytelling, because a lot of the time I keep thinking, are we really talking about storytelling? And then I argue with myself, right? Because I don't know, because I'm schizophrenic. No, and that's not even a correct diagnosis, schizophrenic. So anyway, never mind. I argue with myself because certainly the stuff I'm talking about is not what people think of as storytelling. Mostly they think about characters and scenes and a plot, and basically we're talking setting, we're talking world building, but there's, in fact, I'm gonna, let's see if I still have this. It has been sitting in, I have tabs open. I have like a bazillion tabs open, right? And yeah, I've gotten rid of it. GDC, not writing great design documents. No. GDC world building. Because what we're talking about is essentially world building. And world building is, so there's a GDC talk, which I used to have a recording of on a tab. I will find it and I will drop it in the Discord. And GDC, let's see, GDC Ken Ralston. Let me tell you about Ken Ralston. He, no, that's not it. Ken Ralston. Here it is. The talk is an hour long. I would highly recommend y'all listen to it. I'm dropping it in the general of the Discord. It is collaborative writing and vast narratives, principles, processes, and genteel truculence. So these are two guys, Mark Nelson and Ken Ralston, who were the lead writers of Oblivion, which you may have heard of. Although it's not quite Skyrim, it is Oblivion. So I want to Ralston. There we go. Let's see. Let's get Ken Ralston's. He makes or has made tabletop RPGs. That's where he came from. And then he moved into video games with Morrowind. He was lead designer on Morrowind and lead designer on Oblivion. And from there went to Big Huge Games to do Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Oh, that's okay. Which has now become the Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. They've done a remaster of it.
Didn't that have some like major problems with?
Well, okay. So no,
I think of a different game.
no, you're right. There were problems, but not. It had nothing to do with that team. So basically, 38 Studios was making an MMO, and it was taking forever, and they kept running out of money, and Kurt Schilling kept raising money, and in one of their, I don't know. So I am no business person, but 38 Studios bought Big Huge Games, which was going under. And Big Huge Games was where Ken Ralston and some other people, some other designers, were making a big RPG. And Big Huge Games was Brian Reynolds' company. Brian Reynolds designed Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. So Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which is an amazing game, is actually entitled Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, a Brian Reynolds design, something like that. Look it up. So yeah, okay, Henry. So they were going under because Brian Reynolds had a name in strategy games. They made a real-time strategy Civ game, Rise of Nations, I think it was called. Oh, you moved it to class adjacent. Oh,
Yeah.
Spell you, Henry. Being all like proper about channels. So they were going under because making an RPG takes a long time, and 38 Studios bought them. And basically what 38 Studios did was say, you've got this RPG that you're working on, set it in our world, because 38 Studios had the Drizzt Do'Urden guy. What's his name? R.A. Salvatore, who lives in Framingham, by the way. Just saying. Just within 5 miles of where I am sitting right now. He was the writer, and he had made this huge Bible covering tens of thousands of years for the history of the world that their MMO was set in. And so they basically said, hey, take your RPG and set it in our world, and we'll publish it. And that's what they did. And so they had the benefit of all this writing that had been done for the MMO, but and I've since talked to last year, for one of the master classes, Ben Schneider came. He's a writer. He worked on Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and I was like, oh yeah, what, you guys got bought, and then they made you put it in a different world. I bet that was terrible. He was like, nah, it was great. We didn't have much, and they came in with this whole huge 1,000-page Bible of what had happened in the world beforehand. And we had all this wonderful stuff to mine. So they published, and it is a single player action RPG, which from all accounts, I have not played it. I own it somewhere. I think it's even installed. I think I went as far as like, oh, I should install this and play it, and I installed it and then wandered away to some other game while it was installing. So anyway, they published Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. It did okay, not super good, and it came out as an EA game, I think, because they had some deal with EA. And EA, well, so now it's owned by, let's see, I think THQ Nordic picked it up. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, Re-Reckoning. February 7th is the Re-Reckoning. And it is being, this may contain bad stuff. Let's see, what year was I born? Okay, few page. Okay, who is publishing this? THQ Nordic. If you don't know about THQ Nordic, they used to be some other company, and they bought THQ and then became THQ Nordic. They basically have, the last 5 years or so, been picking up kind of dead companies' games, and then first re-releasing them, and then polishing them and doing kind of remasters, or like adding whole new expansion packs. That's what happened to Titan Quest. THQ Nordic bought THQ and got Titan Quest, and so they added a whole Viking thing to Titan Quest. Very exciting. So this came out, and it was okay. It was kind of an introduction to the world that this big MMO that was taking 5 years to make was going to. Okay. Yeah, he was very proud of it. I mean, it was a solid game. And then 38 Studios went under, taking, I don't know, $7 million from Rhode Island, and basically the state of Rhode Island ended up owning all the assets from this MMO, and maybe even owning Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Yeah, it was a huge thing. And
still the 38. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we still have the 38 Studios poster in the Zula? Not Zula, the Fully 22.
Yes. We when 38 Studios was a thing, when we had game jams and such, developers from 38 Studios would come out and be judges, or talk about design, or talk about art, or what have you. I think Kurt Schilling even came out once and brought pizza for everybody in the middle of the game jam. And the press office was just wanted to kill us because they're like, is Kurt Schilling coming? Is Kurt Schilling coming? And we're like, nah. They haven't told us Kurt Schilling is coming. And then Kurt Schilling came, and there was no photographer. There was nothing. He just came and hung out with the people, with the game jammers. And didn't want to make a big thing out of it. And then WPI marketing was all mad at us because we had Kurt Schilling and nobody got a picture. So, oh well, oops. In retrospect, probably for the best. But they brought that poster out and we put it on there. And honestly, my idea is to, because everybody's saying we should have more posters in the lab. And there are some student game posters in there. I wanted a poster from every studio that has failed in there, or just all failed studios, just to remind everybody what they're getting into. I think that would be a great way to decorate the IMGD lab. Because, like, I don't know, do they still have the big Minotaur from Titan Quest in the library?
Yeah.
So we snagged that when Iron Lore went bankrupt. And we have the 38 studios. We have a whole bunch of stuff from Stainless Steel, who made Empire Earth. We have a whole bunch of stuff from them after they went bankrupt. For a while, our IMGD archives was, I used to call them the Vulture Patrol, because whenever a company went bankrupt, we'd send a crew of IQP students to get whatever they could and bring it back for the archives. We didn't get any papers from Iron Lore because THQ actually owns all the stuff. So when it was sold to THQ Nordic, or when it was sold to whatever that company was, they got all the like design docs and stuff from Iron Lore, which amuses me to no end, because I'm sure there are design docs that I have written that are in Norway now on some server. So getting back to Ken, this was a long thing. Ken Ralston, and this talk that I have posted in the collaborative writing and vast narratives was all about how to tell a story, and they made the talk, and go listen to it, into a Ken builds the world and lets people do stuff in it and make their own stories. And what's the other guy's name? Mark makes plots for them to move through. Ken and Mark hate each other, but realize the need for each other's brand of storytelling. Right. And it's a good way to look at what we're doing here. And in the larger sense of things, it's the difference between story and plot. And I want to come back to you guys. So story and plot are two different things. Can anybody help me out on what the difference is? We'll see. It's not in the book. Maybe it's in the book. Not sure. Nobody. Nothing. See, if we were in a class, I'd be jumping up and down. McKenna's trying to think of something. Okay, so let's talk. Let's be more specific. I'm hoping that all of you have had Oedipus Rex in high school or junior high, because once upon a time everybody had to read Oedipus Rex, and at least it was a touchstone. Plot doesn't beget story necessarily, I would think. Okay, so what is the plot of the play Oedipus Rex? Greek tragedy. Dude named Oedipus. He's king of Thebes, sitting around on his throne. There's a plague. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. He really liked his mother. Oedipus kills his dad. That's not in the play. There is no scene of Oedipus killing his dad in the play. Plot is more like background story, while story is what the writer wanted you to see. Aiden says, whoa, spoilers. I think we're sorry. Sorry, but it's a 5,000-year-old play. I'm spoiling it. So John has it backwards. Plot is what happens in front of you, is present action. Story is everything contained in the narrative. Okay, so let's be clear. I'm going to tell you the whole story of Oedipus is king of Thebes gets a prophecy that his son will kill him and marry his wife. King of Thebes says, oh, hey, that would be bad. Better that I just not have a son. Right? So when his wife gives birth to a son, he does some horrible things, and essentially leaves Oedipus as a baby on a hill, right? And in the woods to be eaten by wolves. But yeah, I don't know. It's a hill. Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe it's in there somewhere. Anyway, baby is crying in the woods, and he is found by a kindly old guy, right? Who takes the baby home, and he and his wife raise the baby as their own son. Oedipus, the kid, or the young man, goes to a fortune teller, goes to an oracle, and the oracle says, you're going to kill your father and marry your mother. And Oedipus, rightly so, says, eesh, right? I don't want to do that. I love my dad and I love my mom, but not that way. You know what I'm saying? And then along came Zeus. So he's like, so this won't come true. I'm gonna leave home so that whatever the gods are gonna make me do to kill my dad and marry my mom, I'm not gonna be around to do it. Right? So Oedipus takes off, and he, at a crossroads, he somehow meets the king of Thebes, who doesn't have, like, I don't know, an army around him, or even, I don't know. I don't remember the circumstances, but he meets the king of Thebes, his real father, at a crossroads. They get in an argument, and Oedipus kills him. Boom. First prophecy fulfilled. Yes, as you do. It was a road rage problem. Yes. Oedipus, being the cool dude that he is, hears that there's a sphinx that is menacing Thebes. Maybe that's why the king of Thebes was on the road, trying to find some help for the sphinx that is menacing Thebes. So he goes to Thebes to save the city from the sphinx, and the sphinx and the queen of Thebes, who's now the one in charge because the king of Thebes has been mysteriously killed at a crossroads, says, has a standing order, and I think some time went by between these things, that I'll marry whoever saves my city from the sphinx. So Oedipus goes to the sphinx. The sphinx has the famous riddle, what has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening. And the sphinx, as sphinxes do, says, whoever can marry nobody, I am so smart, no one will be able to solve my riddle. If you can solve my riddle, I will go away and leave everybody alone. So Oedipus solves the riddle. It is man, right? Spoiler. Because in the morning, you have 4 legs, you're a baby crawling around. In the afternoon, you're a full-grown person. So you have 2 legs. And in the evening, you need a cane to walk around. So you have 3 legs. Woo-woo, I win. Sphinx goes away. And he gets to marry the queen of Thebes, who is his mother, but he doesn't know that. And thus, Oedipus Complex, right? Because an Oedipus complex is being romantically attracted to your own mother, which he was. So all of that is not in the play. Well, it is, but it's not. None of that is acted out in the play, right? So it is the story of Oedipus, but it is not the plot of Oedipus Rex. The plot of Oedipus Rex is there's a plague. You guys know about plagues. There's a plague raging through Thebes. And everybody's, well, the entrail readers and the fortune teller says this plague is the result of the gods being angry because something or someone in Thebes has committed a grievous sin, and all of the city is paying for this horrible action. And so Oedipus puts on his detective hat and says, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And I am going to punish, and there's a whole long monologue of all the terrible things he's going to do to the person who has brought this plague onto Thebes because they're such a horrible person. See, what Oedipus doesn't know is he's the dude who has done this, right? So the actual plot of the play is Oedipus sitting on a throne and people coming into his throne room, and he questions them. Yes, exactly. The real monster was him all along. So it's his questioning. He is detectivizing. He is detecting. Um, who is this person who has committed such a grievous sin? Um, and all the clues point back to the person who killed the last king of thieves. And at a certain point, it which is called the moment of realization, Oedipus realizes that it was him all along. So this is actually what's called a processional tragedy, in that there is a procession. There's basically a parade of people coming across the stage, each one of which has one piece of the puzzle. They put out their piece of the puzzle, and our hero is like, ooh, 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 and asking questions and figuring it all out. So, and then once he realizes it was him all along, and his wife mother, Jocasta, realizes that she has married her son, and they have kids. They have like 3 grown kids, right? What's her face? 4. Thank you. 2 sons, 2 daughters, and Antigone, I want to say, is Mene. I wanted to say Iphigenia, but I knew it was an I. And the 2 brothers. I forget the guys' names. They're dead in Antigone. Exactly. So so basically, they are a couple. This Jocasta and Oedipus. They have had a long and happy marriage up until this point. So Jocasta, realizing that the prophecy has come true, runs off stage, and so does Oedipus. And we see it. We have a reveal that Jocasta has hanged herself. And Oedipus comes back in, and he's thrown ash over his head, and he's stabbed out his own eyes. So now he's blind. His wife is dead, and actually is Mene, and he go off to wander the land and be sad, right? And that is the first part of the story, because guess what? All of those Greek plays were trilogies, right? So you get, actually, I don't think we have the other 2. We have different takes on the various Oedipus trilogies. So like we have the first one by one guy, and we have the last one by another guy. But usually what we do is the first one is Oedipus Rex. Second one is Antigone, which is a whole other kettle of fish. It's the sister working on getting her brother buried. And then the last one is Oedipus at Colonus, where old Oedipus, who has been wandering the land all blind and stuff, forgives himself and finds peace at last. And it's actually the least popular of the 3 Oedipus plays, but it's kind of my favorite. Society? What? I don't know what that means, Javier. Misspelled it. We live in one. Society. Okay. There's an actual Broadway show called Oedipus at Colonus. We live in a society. Yes. where Oedipus at Colonus is a gospel musical based on Oedipus at Colonus, right? So is it called Oedipus at Colonus? It's called, I don't remember, but Morgan Freeman was in the original production. It's great. Anyway, so I use that to get to the basics of story versus plot. Story starts before Oedipus is born and ends when Oedipus dies. That's the story of Oedipus. And the plot of Oedipus Rex is Oedipus investigates why the plague is raging through Thebes. And so it's one little slice of a larger piece story. So this is why, like in the design doc, I ask you for the history of this building, right? Or the history of this space. Why is whatever buildings are in this building here, or what is this this valley used for, or what have you? What is the history of this area? And then I say, what do we do? So it is the story, and many times, especially with what we call a walking simulator. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Maybe not. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. So many times these walking simulators are exactly an Oedipus kind of story, where my present action is to figure out what happened here, right? What is the story of this space? And I can go fast or slow through it. If we go back to, I used to make y'all play Gone Home, and then it seemed like everybody had already played it, so I dropped it, and now we're past it, and now nobody has played it again. But Gone Home is essentially an investigation. It's set in the 90s, and you have been you are a college aged woman who has spent a year abroad in Europe somewhere, and you've come home, and in the year that you were over in Europe, your family moved from where you grew up to a new house because I believe mom got a new job. She's like a forest ranger or something. So you got your flight home, and this, of everything strangely unbelievable, the most unbelievable thing about Gone Home is that your parents do not pick you up at the airport. You get a taxi home, where you expect your family to be waiting for you, and you come home to an empty house. Right. I mean, so aside from everything that's happened, that you discover has happened in the house, the idea that you're a college age person and your parents aren't going to pick you up at the airport after you've been away for a year. That tells you a lot about the relationship you have with your family. Anyway, so the entire game is you wandering around this house, where nobody is on a dark and stormy night, to figure out what happened. And mostly, well, no, I'm not going to spoil it, but it uses horror tropes, right? So you wander around empty house. This is a new house, which explains why you don't know anything about it. Is that blood in the bathtub? Did dad go on a murderous rampage? Is there a ghost of your uncle that haunts the place? All of these are possibilities. And so it's this weirdly scary game that wants to be well, I don't know. I don't know. Would you, has anybody played it? Gone home? Yes, no? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we got 4 people who have played it. Nope. Highly recommend. Yes. If you can go play it. But the other thing is your little sister, you get voiceovers, you get cassette tapes and voiceovers from it's not scary. I mean, it tries to be scary, but it's not. There is one jump scare that you can avoid. And even that is just a light flashing and going out. So anyway, so part of the whole thing is that you get the story of your little sister who is in high school, and is embarking on her first gay relationship, and the idea of that coming out is kind of central to the story. Also, possibly mom is having an affair with somebody at work, and dad is having problems. He's an author of I'm gonna sneeze again. I'm sorry. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess not. He is an author of what seem to be some sort of super thrillers, but he seems to make his money by reviewing electronics. So he's a frustrated author, and he seems to be going down the tubes professionally because you find a bunch of letters saying, where's the latest thing, the latest review. So there's all sorts of ominous things in there, and the whole point is to wander around this house, look around, and figure out what happened there. And this was the one. So the first theoretical walking simulator was Dear Esther, but the first one where people kind of review bombed it on Steam, and they had Steam debuted tags, so you could tag games as scary or funny or shooter or whatever. And when Steam debuted it, you could write whatever you wanted. You could tag something as sneeze inducing, right? And You guys like Edith Finch? Okay, I'm gonna. No, I'm not gonna rant about Edith Finch. Anyway, so
Edith Finch is great.
no, it's not as terrible. I hate Edith Finch with the passion of 1,000 stars.
Oh, why?
Okay. Well, now let me finish Gone Home. So when Gone Home came out, they people started tagging with this new tag feature on Steam. They tagged it Walking Simulator as a derogatory thing. They were like, "There's no game here. It's not a game. It's a walking simulator." And both Edith Finch and Gone Home embraced the tag, and said, "Yeah, we're a walking simulator. Well, we'll take that. It's good. We like walking simulators." Hold on a sec. I'm going to blow my nose. I'm going to mute my microphone first. Okay, I'm better. Yes, Walking Simulator was originally meant to be derogatory, because the idea was that this is not a game. My face is. Let me hold on. One more thing. I'm gonna turn on a light because it's getting really dark, and all I'm being lit by is the light of the computer screen. Hopefully that's a little better. Okay, so my problem with Edith Finch. First off, the first thing you see, where you start is at a lighthouse, right? Which says to me weenie, right? So I go to the lighthouse, and you're starting very close to the lighthouse, so it's not really much of a pull of a weenie. You go in the lighthouse, and there's not much there.
Wait, lighthouse?
Yeah. You start. Let's see. Let me make sure.
You start reading a book.
It's been years.
What reminds me of Edith Finch is the one where you're going through the Finch family home, going through like different vignettes of the different family members' pasts.
It's on an island, isn't it?
No.
Are you thinking about Dear Esther?
Dear Esther. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dear
well,
Esther
Edith
is the
Finch
one I
very
hate.
cool.
Okay,
Edith Finch has amazing storytelling.
Okay, never mind. Edith Finch, I have not played.
Edith Finch, I highly recommend. But
Okay.
I just find it very interesting because there's like this huge thing throughout the whole thing talking about like the family curse.
Right.
And one huge thing that it sort of pushes is the question of, is the family curse actually a thing, or do they just believe in it so much that it has become a thing?
Okay. So yes, I am now looking at my Steam what remains of Edith Finch, and I have 0 hours played. But Dear Esther, I have 2.2 hours played. So it's Dear Esther. Sorry. You're fine. I don't hate Edith Finch. It's anybody want to defend Dear Esther? It was actually Dear Esther that was it actually lays claim to be the first walking simulator. Nobody's played Dear Esther. Yes, I am thinking of Dear Esther. Too many Ediths and Esthers running around. Yes. So my problem, haven't I ranted about Dear Esther already? Didn't I do that
don't
like
think
the
so.
first week?
I've heard your rant about it, but I can't remember what the context was.
Was it in this class or 1002? I don't know. I rant about Dear Esther a lot.
Raul's saying not in this class, it looks like.
Not in this class. Okay. So Dear Esther, first is the weenie. That is not a weenie because I get there and there's not much there. There's nothing. I wander around this empty lighthouse. But let's see. Do I have I haven't taken any screenshots. I'm sure I took screenshots of this, of Dear Esther. Okay. Let me pull up. So there's a weenie in Dear Esther where there's basically a radio tower in the middle of the island. Here, I'm going to share screen. Let me share screen. Let's share. So this is Steam. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see. Okay. So you start. I swear I took this picture. Anyway. You start at people love this game too. I don't get it. You start at the thing, the lighthouse, but there's a radio tower, like a big metal thing with a blinking red light on top of it, all over in the middle of the island. So that's clearly the weenie that I'm going for, right? Let me see, what's this? Oh, that's the full playthrough. Okay. I don't really. So we start here. This is the first. They have obviously played this before because they didn't spend any time exploring the lighthouse. So you notice that you're on an island and you're surrounded by ocean. I'm trying to see if I can see it. Oh, I don't care. Anyway, so I do what anybody does, which is I try and swim out to sea. Because, of course, right? Or you notice you're wandering along cliff faces, right? So what do you try to do? You try to jump off the cliff, see what happens, right? If you try to swim out to sea, and there are a couple of places where you can, you're either pushed back or it fades to black and you respawn, right? Near the edge of the ocean. So essentially, and there are invisible walls, there are blocking volumes. By the way, Dear Esther is made in Unreal. Dear Esther, they did the same thing as they did with what's his face, the one I had you play, the Vista one, Ethan Carter. Ethan, Esther, Edith, what's going on? These Unreal walking simulators. Anyway, the Landmark edition is the redo with Unreal Engine 4, essentially. So it's prettier, theoretically, but the first one was perfectly pretty. So anyway, you can't commit suicide, right? And you notice I was walking, or the person was walking along a very narrow path on the side of a hill on an island. And that's a good portion of the game is walking on that narrow path, or a narrow path, that has triggers that trigger voiceover, right? Okay, makes sense to me. I'm on a narrow path. It wants me to hear story. So when I hit certain triggers, it gives me the next bit of story, right? But there are certain places where you come out into bigger areas, bigger, like a beach. I recall a beach with a bunch of wrecked boats on it, and you can wander through the wrecked boats, but there's nothing really to do there, except there are trigger volumes. And maybe it's because I know enough about Unreal that I know how they're doing this, and it makes me angry. There are trigger volumes scattered around these larger areas, which you can generally see the exit from the large area. So theoretically, I could walk from my entrance, which is a funnel, and then it opens out, and I could just scoot along an edge and go on to the next thing and avoid this large open area. Or I could wander around in that open area, and I might hit the triggers. It goes back to what I was talking about, the wide road, right? Where there are 4 triggers in that area. I might hit 1, and I get a bit of voice. But the other 3 I don't hear. So I'm missing 3/4 of the story that is available in that area. But okay, the designers have decided that the stuff in there is unnecessary. But me, being a story completionist, knowing that I just hit a trigger box that triggered a voiceover. There are more trigger boxes in this area. So how am I going to play this game? I am going to walk a pattern in those wide areas so that I cover basically every square inch of that area, so that I hit all the trigger boxes. And that's on me. That's not fun. That's just me kind of saying, I need to hear everything here, right? So I do that, and I'm pretty sure I got every single one of those trigger boxes in every open area, along with all the essential trigger boxes on the narrow paths, right? And so theoretically, I have all of the story. And I get to the end, and I honestly can't tell you what happened. Something about a plague, something about Esther dying, something about the world ending. Maybe it's all a dream. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm not sure. So as you do when you don't understand a game, you start Googling. And I find out that those trigger boxes in the wide areas are pulling so they basically have a bucket of voiceovers. And every time you hit one of the wide area voiceovers, it picks a random voice area from the bucket to play you, right? And you may hear, and there are many, many more voiceovers than there are triggers. So, short of going and playing all the voiceovers in order or in whatever they are in whatever directory they're in, you have to play the game more than once. Right. That's a very questionable narrative system. Yes. Unless there's guarantees that critical plot points will show. Well, that's what the narrow roads are. Theoretically, those are the critical plot points, and the not critical plot points are the wide areas, right? Mostly those additional ones don't make sense with the other ones. So I'm no more, and the way the writers are thinking is that it's all just depth and color. Like, you'll get it, and the rest is just bits that will add value somehow. And what I found was mostly it confused things. So that's my main narrative problem with the game. The other problem, remember how I said I tried various ways to commit suicide, and I could not commit suicide. The weenie, that tower with the blinky light on top, the end of the game, I'm spoiling this game. Don't play Dear Esther. It's spoiled. I don't care. Mute me for. I'll do this when I'm done spoiling the game. Okay, I'm now about to spoil the game. You get to the tower at the end. You climb the tower, and you jump off the tower and commit suicide. That's the end of the game. You don't actually commit suicide. You kind of turn into a seagull and fly out to sea, maybe. Or maybe you're committing suicide. It's unclear. So I could have spared myself the entire game just by committing suicide at the beginning, but they wouldn't let me commit suicide until I got to the end when they wanted me to commit suicide. So I ended with, like, I want to kill these people for making me live through this. Okay, spoiler over. So there you. Oh, also the bucket of multiple voiceovers that you may or may not get. That was the way they figured you'd want to replay the game many times. I have not wanted to replay the game many times to get more out of the bucket. Let me just say that as an art, as a level design, well, not, I wouldn't say level design, but as an environmental art project, it is gorgeous. They make this island the just one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in Unreal. the grass undulates with a breeze. There are times when you go through caves. Yeah, some kinds of games just don't lend themselves to being replayed. Exactly. Well, I've now replayed Ethan Carter, and that was okay. Honestly, the house puzzle where you have to put the rooms in the right places. The first time I played that, I think I I had no idea what was going on with that, and I think I just threw it, kept changing rooms until I got the right one, and kept changing rooms until I got the right one, and I didn't understand what I was doing right, and I didn't understand what I was doing wrong, and eventually I got it, but it took a long time. And this time, I figured it out. I knew what had to happen, and I did, and I executed it, and I understood the puzzle. So Ethan Carter is its own story, but there are puzzles within it. Like, I didn't remember the sequence of events of, this one comes first, this one comes second. So it was all new. It was fine. There are no real puzzles in Dear Esther. It's just walking around and finding stuff, and I guess the puzzle is what the hell happened here. So, but it is gorgeous. So if you want to look at amazing environmental art, I highly recommend it, but I also think there are better games. Okay, so going into your final project, also, one thing A Semblance does right over Ethan Carter is making the ground plants not fall apart as being obviously just textures by looking down at them. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure there's performance reasons for it, but it's unfortunate. Well, okay, that's one of the things I forgot to talk about on Tuesday that I need to cover now. If we look at A Semblance, let me see if I can pull it up, and I'm going to try and stream it in the Discord. Let's try. Wait. A semblance oversight. Here we go. Let's play. Because I really want to point out what they're doing with their outdoor area that is very different from Ethan Carter. And I did in my video. Come on. Okay. Yeah. Come on. I think I played it with my controller. Tab. Okay, I'm going to go in the general voice chat. And I am going to share my screen. Share. No. Can I? Wait, what's going on? A semblance oversight. Okay, here we go. General. Yeah, 720. Go live. Okay. Okay, here we are. My stream is running. Can you see the stream?
You might want to mute yourself in Discord.
Yes. Yeah, you do want to mute yourself in on the Discord.
Okay. There, I am muted in Discord. Is that okay? Okay. Okay. For some reason. Okay, I want to go to this valley. So this is an outdoor area. Aside from the post-processing here, right? we've got foreground, we've got the area that I can walk around in, which this is the edge of the area I can walk around in. Can I? Yes. I cannot jump off this cliff. I have a blocking volume. You can use the blocking volume to stop your players. It's just an invisible wall. You can shape it like any BSP. You can put piles of them in. Just be careful because they're invisible. So you have to look at them in wireframe to see exactly where they are, and wireframe can get confusing. So this is all foreground, and it's very small, right? But this feels like a giant area. And you've got a sky dome here, which is way far away. We've got the mountains as part of the sky dome. I would say those mountains are also, see how they move or don't move? Those mountains up there are part of the sky dome. These clouds here are not part of the sky dome. We've got some clouds near us, but the sky dome over here is those near mountains and those far mountains. So they've got some interesting sky dome work here. And then just so we don't see, like if we look down here and just saw eternity, that would be bad. So they've put this middle distance piece of land here just to basically block us off from looking into infinity. I mean, sure, we've got a bunch of clouds down there. But what they've done is given us a very, what seems like a very large area that's actually a very small area. And that way they can, I'm hearing music. Is that in my game or is that one of you guys? Anyway, okay, I guess it's one of you guys. Because you never know with a semblance. So it's a very tiny thing. So all of these flowers are, I'm sure, painted in with the foliage brush. Same with this grass. The trees are placed and they move. The clouds are particle systems, and they've built this rock wall here. Okay, so let's get out of here. And let's look at the base. Okay. So here, again, another outdoor area. But again, our sight lines are blocked. Remember how I said the first thing they did at Disneyland was build a berm, which is a hill that you couldn't see over? Same principle. We've got berms. And I'd like to point out that you guys all in your landscapes, you're pulling up the landscape to make rocks. And that gives it a kind of look. These are static mesh rocks placed here. And they look more like rocks. You are probably better off. Now I'm hearing an echo. Whoever turned, yeah, good. You're probably better off finding static mesh rocks and placing them within your landscape in order to build berms than pulling your landscape itself. This part is probably part of the landscape, but look at how gentle the hill is. And the big thing here is this is the farthest the sightline goes. So we've got our blocking volume here. Wow, I haven't even been out here this far. And we've got a mid-distance bit of ground so that we can't see over any edge. But we can still see that it keeps going. And what we basically have is a valley because as part of their sky dome, they've made more forest, right? So once again, we have a very small outdoor area so they can get all this foliage in and not kill our frame rate without making it feel like it's just this tiny area. It just feels like we can't see very far because of the actual landscape. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, let's go Y. I'm going to get out of this. Quit. Yes. Okay, I'm out. How'd the stream go? Seemed to go okay. Okay. Is everybody back? Okay, that was Aiden. Okay, so what is everybody's leaving the channel in Discord because I'm hearing boop 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 boop. I'm gonna leave. There we go. I'm out. Smaller areas can support more detail than larger areas. And in many cases, and I think I talked about this earlier, you don't have the time to make the valley that Ethan Carter has, those huge vistas, but you can make a vista like in a semblance, right? You can see past an area that you can't go to and see something. You don't always need to be able to go to the thing you see in the vista. It's probably good if you do. But for instance, we could, the other point of a vista is a chance to rest and reflect and see something beautiful in between bits of gameplay, right? And especially in like a shooter or whatever, where it's high stress for a while and then okay. So plot versus story. Well, rant about Dear Esther. Edith Finch still remains a good game because I haven't played it. Although I started playing Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Has anyone played that? Made by the same company as Dear Esther.
I know it exists. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so I started playing it. It is essentially a town in England somewhere where everyone has disappeared. And you are wandering around. And you get scenes from what happened before they disappeared, and you put together what happened based on the scenes. But once again, you can miss things. And so, I mean, there's an argument that is interactive. That is interactivity, right? That the idea that I'm going to see every bit of story bits, well, why don't you just read a book, right? But in an interactive story, you might not see everything, so you're going to play it again to see other things or try other choices. But the only thing that that causes you to miss pieces of story is the wide road, which is I wandered this way instead of that way, and thus I didn't see the thing, right? Which seems to me, again, a poor choice for interactivity. And I'm looking through it, and there are. Let me pull it up. Oh, I don't have it on Steam. I was playing it on PS4. Maybe I have it. Everyone's. Come on. Nope. Don't seem to have it on Steam. There's a trophy for getting through. So you follow a person through a story until they get raptured, whatever that means. It may be aliens transporting them up into, and this is part of the story itself, is what is happening here. Are there aliens that are beaming people up? Is it a religious thing? Is it some kind of radiation that is death raying people and turning them into ionized clouds of gases? And that's what you're there to solve. But you follow a person until they disappear. And then you get another person, and it's like a chapter in a book. Each chapter is a different person. One of the achievements is get through the entire game without seeing the end of anyone's story. Why would I want to do that? What? So the Chinese room, which is for the achievement. Thanks, Matt. That is obviously why I would want to do that, to platinum it, right? To get all the points. Yes. So very interesting thing is that the company is named the Chinese Room, which I'm gonna Wikipedia because I want to make sure I get this right. Chinese Room, the Chinese Room experiment. So the argument, it's a thought experiment. Okay, so imagine yourself alone in a room following a computer program for responding to Chinese characters slipped under the door. Searle understands nothing of Chinese. Searle is the person who invented this thought experiment. And yet, by following the program for manipulating symbols and numerals, just as a computer does, he sends an appropriate strings of Chinese characters back out under the door, and this leads those outside to mistakenly suppose there is a Chinese speaker in the room. The narrow conclusion of the argument is that programming a digital computer may make it appear to understand language, but could not produce real understanding. The computer does not understand Chinese. The person who is deciding to follow the computer does not understand Chinese, but a conversation from the people the people outside the room think they're having a conversation with someone. So there is no actual sentience inside the room that is having a conversation. But symbols are coming out, right? thought experiment underscores the fact that computers merely use syntactic rules to manipulate symbol strings and have no understanding or meaning of semantics. Broader conclusion of the argument is that the theory that human minds are computer-like computational or information processing systems is refuted. Instead, minds must result from biological processes. Computers can at best simulate these biological processes. Thus, the argument has large implications for semantics, philosophy of language and mind, theories of consciousness, computer science, and cognitive science generally. I would recommend reading about the Chinese room if you're at all into semiotics and computer generation of anything, right? Proc gen. Because the computer doesn't really understand, but the computer can simulate it. So a company called the Chinese Room says something to me, is that you think you're having a conversation, a meaningful conversation with this computer program, but they are just picking likely responses to your input, and there's no actual sentience on the other side. And mostly, for whatever reason, that tends to make me angry. It makes me feel like my time is being wasted, because I think I'm talking to a human being and I'm communicating somehow, and they're telling me you're not. This is just a program that's simulating a human being, and you are making a mistake in thinking that you're having a meaningful conversation. And maybe that's on me for getting angry and frustrated, that I'm thinking you're telling me a story that will somehow illuminate things for me, that will change my mind or change my life, and you're telling me that it's all just numbers and we're fooling you. Henry says, kind of strips all the emotional value weight from it. Yes, exactly. So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's how I feel. Okay, so there's one other thing I wanted to cover, and that is so much of this course is about the psychology of getting players to go. Oh, interestingly enough, they also did Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs. Did they? Really? The Chinese Room, not argument, the Chinese Room games. Chinese Room. It's a yes. Yeah. Huh. Chinese Room. So they have theoretically folded. After everybody's gone to the rapture, they laid off everyone. According to Wikipedia, yeah, you're right. Issa says, yeah, weird that they'd only be involved in one of the amnesias. And that's right after Dear Esther. It seems like they did that for money, maybe. I don't know. So anyway, after everybody's gone to the rapture, they laid off everybody. In late July 2017, they laid off the entire team. At that point, 8 people, and ditched their office. They couldn't make payroll. And so it's the two people, kind of the two founders, just kind of making stuff. So a VR title, And I think I've already ranted about VR today. Oh, that was in another meeting. And then, anyway, so are they working on one that's coming out? Dear Esther Lunch, as of April 2020, the Chinese Room is working on a game yet to be announced. So yes, they are working on something, but they haven't told us. Yeah. Well, so I believe that they were teachers. 2 mods for Half-Life 2. They were backed by the Arts and Humanities Research Council. So I believe originally one of them, the environmental artist, was teaching game development and teaching environmental art and level design, and this island was his kind of class demo, where he kept adding to the island to demonstrate Unreal stuff, and they turned it into a game kind of thing. I could be wrong about that, but I see that's what I recall at the time when Dear Esther came out. They were like, "Oh, this is a professor who, actually used the stuff from his class to make well, it was Half-Life 2, so it wouldn't have been Unreal. It would have been Hammer or whatever the hell it's called." Okay. So the third thing, before I run out of time, I have 6 minutes. Most of this class is getting players to go where you want them to go. And one of the things that I was playing this past summer, I played Tomb Raider, or Rise of the Tomb Raider, Source Engine. Thank you, Javier. So, and I wanted to share with you how they just look at the pictures. You don't have to read this. Is this, why isn't it shared? I thought it was shared. Wait, I'm sharing. Oh, there. Share. Okay, now I'm sharing. Alt H. Yeah. So okay. So this is Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, right? This is the one in Siberia, the cold Tomb Raider. And this is just from a walkthrough. You have obviously the weenie, but for the most part, this is a tower that you have to climb, right? And the thing that Tomb Raider does is it marks your path with white. Very much like that parkour one, where the whole city was white, but where you could go was red.
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge, yes. Here, they've marked every surface that you can climb or that you can latch onto is white. So even here, one of the things you can do eventually in the game is be able to shoot rope arrows and then rappel down, not rappel, but slide down the rope. But you need one of these posts to stick to stick your end in. It's unclear how it all works, but you shoot an arrow at the white rope wrapped thing where you want to go, and you somehow stick it to this post, both of which are white, and that way you can go from one to the other. If there's a wall that you can climb, even if it seems too tall, like you would jump up here and then scrabble. It's kind of a double jump to get up here. here you can see if you can make a jump, or if you're intended to jump there, the edge of the static mesh is edged in white. Even the poles that are sticking out that you swing from pole to pole have this kind of white chalk dust. And the rocks that you can climb with your ice picks are these white chalky rocks. So you can see over and over again, they are marking your path in white. Here you go white to jump onto this board, which is amazingly painted white. And then you climb up a wall that, I mean, think about this. Why did they paint this? Right? There's Mirror's Edge. Newest Gods of War also uses runic patterns painted on the surfaces for that. There's no reason for anyone to paint these three stripes. I think the idea is that the whole thing was whitewashed at one point, and this is all that remains, but it doesn't make sense because they're stripes. They're obviously striped. God of War has a story reason for them being there. So I just wanted to point out that you can mark path with a color, and you can teach your players. I'm going to stop this share and quickly go to Unreal Engine 5 demo. Okay, so interestingly, let's hit this. Let's share screen. I need to share the sound and optimize for the video clip. I'm gonna skip ahead. So this is the demo for the next engine. Yeah. So we've got, this is not Lara Croft climbing.
You aren't sharing, Dean.
What'd you say, Nick?
We can't see the video.
Oh, you can? What am I sharing?
No, we can't. We can't.
You cannot.
I thought you were showing the video.
I am showing the video. I thought I was.
Oh, nope.
Okay. Thank you. Gonna try it again. Okay. It's okay because I'm only getting here. So there we go. Okay. So let me see. So you'll notice we've got blue and orange here. That stands out from the rest of the browns of the landscape.
More immersive experience.
This squeezing through is a PS4 and Xbox One loading screen.
Can you turn the video down, Dean?
Yes. How's that?
It's still really loud for some reason.
Okay, I just muted it entirely. Okay, because we don't need to hear it. Is that okay, Nick?
It is now, yes.
Okay. So we're walking through here and we've got the markings. Oh, look at that. Huh. I wonder where we should go. Huh. I guess we'll go this way. Right? So they've got these kind of runes. I don't know what they are. They're paintings. They're cave paintings. Oh, look. We've gone as far. Where should we? Oh, look. Boom. So it just seemed very interesting when I saw this, that they are using the conventions of this past generation for the next generation engine to show off the next generation. Both the squeezing through the tight thing as a loading screen and now painting your path. Essentially, this removes any kind of danger or gameplay. There's no choice there. You're just going to follow the line. Here we go. We're going to squeeze through to a new area. Okay. And that was the innovation there is that we've got a much smaller squeeze. She didn't have to walk as far to squeeze into this new area. Okay. I'm over time. That's just what I wanted to show you about. Last of Us uses yellow bars to mark where you're supposed to go. Yes, this is not an actual game. It's just a demo to show off the new Unreal 5. But for the demo, it's Epic using the conventions of the general level design of this generation. Yeah, it does look really good. I just found it funny that we're putting essentially paint, big arrows. I mean, back in BioShock, we had a breadcrumb trail, an arrow that told you where to go, but you could turn it off. These are arrows telling you where to go that are baked into the level design, so you can't turn them off. So you will always know where to go. Always knowing where to go is a good thing. It also dumbs down your game. Okay, have a great weekend. Finish the last tutorial. Get going on that that gray box if you haven't already. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you for coming. Bye.